Hey folks, this is Bailey from Dank Wargaming.
Hey, this is Heath with Team Table War Hawaii.
And welcome to the Path to Redemption, the Warhammer 40,000 Dark Angels podcast, where we aim to provide Dark Angels players with the tactical and hobby skills that they need to compete in this wonderful hobby of ours. Today we have a special interview episode with tournament player Thomas Ogden, who recently won the Red River GT and placed third in the Atlantic City Open this past weekend. Welcome, Thomas.
Oh, thank you very much. Glad to be here with you guys.
Hey, we just wanted to bring you on, and we've noticed your exploits in our last couple episodes. Reached out and talked to somebody who is running the Dark Angels at a high level of play. So, once again, thanks for coming on, and we'll just jump right into the heart of it. So, tell us, could you just run down this list that you ran at Atlantic City this last weekend?
Yeah, it's actually two detachments. So if you look at it, you got a first company, which basically is Ezekiel, Azzy, and three company command squads, one Thunderhammer, Storm Shield, one Lightning Claw. And then you go into basically what's the heart of my list, which would be the second company, Ravenwing. You got two Talon Masters, Sammy, three attack bikes, a multi-meltas, two Vengeances, and then one bike squad with an attack bike attached to a multi-melta, and then the Apothecary, obviously.
Oh yeah, the Apothecary. We all know what he does.
Oh,
so, yeah. Did you make any changes between Atlantic City and Red River for this list?
At Red River, I ran a Chaplain instead of Sammy. And
okay.
I didn't have my Sammy model in time for Red River.
Fair enough.
So I ran a Chaplain instead. And he was there to basically duplicate Sammy. Sammy's there for a buffing purpose. Obviously, he's really good at charging, very fast with fly. But being able to give a second squad full rerolls and
yeah, for sure,
he can do is it makes the list really good with him. But with the Chaplain, I gave him the +1 to hit, so I can make a squad hit on 2s instead of 3s, or 3s if they advanced.
Yeah.
And then he had to reroll to hit aura, and then +2 to charge. So it gave me a little bit more charging if I needed it, which this list doesn't do very good at. But it was fun. It was fun to run them. I definitely prefer Sammy, though. Sammy performs very, very well with the list.
Yeah, I personally have been running around with the Azrael and Samael combination, being able to pop rerolls on the two units, especially one of them being a Talon Master, because the Chapter Master rule lets you give a buff to a character as well.
Oh, yeah.
It's nice. Two Chapter Master buffs is a big deal. So, all right, I just want to run out. One of the things that I was looking at with this list, I couldn't figure out is what is your intent with these Landspeeder Vengeances? Bailey and I tried them maybe a couple months ago, and we just kind of settled on the fact that we didn't think they were reliable enough with the 2d3 shots.
So before we get in there real quick, I have a question for you.
Sure.
You said you saw my exploits. What are the exploits in your guys' minds out?
Well, the exploits being
the win games with Dark Angels, because I can't win anything.
So everyone's been real hype on Dark Angels for the first 2 months, and then Drukari came out, and Mech came out, and everyone's like, shiny object, other direction. And I was like, I still think there's a lot of stuff here, right? But everyone just kind of put their eyes into a different direction. So exploits are staying, loyal to the faction, which is a Dark Angel trait, and being able to put up big numbers and good results, even in the face of things like Drukari.
Yeah. So the list until if we include ACO, we'll just include ACO. It is 6, 11, 16. So 23 and 2 right now at events and GTs.
Okay.
Two losses come in only to Brad Chester at ACO. The first game I played against him at ACO, I should have won. But we left in the middle of the game to get drinks and came back, and both of us were very nonchalant, and I could just literally move and took an objective and won the game. It should have been, I would think, 93-90 win instead of a 90-88 loss.
Wow.
Or no, I'm sorry, I did the math wrong. It would have been 88-85 win, because I took 5 points from him. That's all it would have done. Second game, though, I made one of the worst moves I've ever done ever. And pretty much just gave him the win turn 1, because he had these little piece of papers that told you it was an each raider, and I didn't see he had two two succubuses, and 2 of his raiders, and they were on one corner of the board, and all the rest of his armies on the other corner. So I made the move just to go in that corner and just remove that that section and control 3/4 of the board against his one. But when I killed the raiders, the 2 succubuses came out, and he put him behind a piece of wall where I couldn't even see, so I can't shoot him, can't charge him because I advanced. And I was like, all right, that's GG. We knew I lost turn 1 when moment I saw them come out because I didn't see them and the raiders there. And he was going to have first turn charge on all my attack bikes, which is what I need to win. But other than that, back to your question, the Vengeances, they're really good for 120 points. They let me move across the board quick for objective grabbing, which seems kind of weird when I say it because they're not OPSEC. They allow me to hold quarters, let me go for engage. But what they're really there for is just the threat. So there's a lot of -1 damage in the game right now at top tables. And when you say a lot, I don't mean in Codex. What you see in armies at top tables, there's a lot of -1, 3 wound builds out there. And being able to take those guys and just make 4 damage scares those people a lot. So even if I roll bad for it, just the potential threat it can do makes people deploy and move in ways that makes me already have on their back foot. So,
okay, so for things like the Death Guard, your Death Shroud Terminators, Death Guard in general, other Dark Angel Space Terminator builds, things along those lines.
Yep. And then also think about this. Most of my Drukari. So I played against 7 Drukari now in GTZR events, and watching one Vengeance step up and pop a Raider is key. So this list was literally built to beat Drukari. So I was playing the Terminator brick like a lot of people were before Drukari. Brad Chester, one of the best players in the entire world at 40k, one of the best minds at 40k. You can literally tell him I'm playing this codex and this mission. He'll tell you what secondaries to take. That's why he's an Art of War coach. That's why he's fantastic. He played against me. He's one of my buddies. We live 40 minutes from each other. He's one of the people I practice with. He very first game with Drukari, he pulls him on a table and just tables my Terminator brick like nothing in one turn. So I literally promptly picked up the brick and said, okay, it's time to rewrite this list and figure out what I can do here. And the list is built around killing Drukari and other fast-moving or durable. So it's a very elitist killing army. And a lot of people, when they try to play my list and they go against Drukari, they make the mistake of shooting the multi-melt attack bikes first. Okay, I want to pop these Raiders, right? Well, don't do that. You're going to use the Vengeances to pop them first. And more times than not, you're going to pop a Raider with just 1 Vengeance. Because you're going to not move it, get the +1 to hit. And then you're going to pop an extra damage, make it 4 damage. And averagely 3 to 4 hits, 2 to 3 wounds. They usually don't make those because it's a 6-up at that point. Or if they make 2 of them, they're still taking 8 damage. Hopefully some of your heavy bolters come through. And then you have a couple other plans to do from there. It's very rare I don't pop a Raider turn 1 with one. And then the moment you pop that Raider, then you start activating your attack bikes because the bolters go into what came out of that Raider, multiplies on the next Raider, and then you just basically keep it going down the line that way. You also have Talon Masters and other things you can do. And you have that other bike squad that just has 2 multi-multas if you need to clean up with, but it all depends on terrain, what they're bringing, and target priority.
Okay,
but those Vengeances, good.
Say my question about the Drukari, which I was going to kind of get this later, but since we're here, I'll bring it up. My experience with Drukari is they almost always deploy the Raiders out of line of sight, and I can't see them on turn 1. So, and that means they can get a clean move to mid board on turn 1, and then turn 2, even if you kill the Raiders, the stuff jumps out and it's got a clean charge on you.
You have a pre-game move for 1 bike squad, and then your bike squads move 23 inches. Your Vengeances move, 18, 24, 27 inches. Your Talon Masters. Your Vengeances move 21 inches. I've never had somebody able to hide even half their army from me from my movement speed. It's all about understanding angles. So before I put the first model on the board, I'm pre-measuring fire lanes right off the get. And I looked at one of the things I'm opponent. I play by intent. I push that game mode very hard. I hate gotcha players. So I'm looking okay, cool. If you put a model here and this is the line arc, I only have to come to this spot to get line of sight. Yeah, cool, agreed. And then once I know where they can hide their army and where the line, fire lanes are at, then I know I want to play most of my army. And that brick, by the way, of 9 attack bikes, Hazy, Apothecary, is very hard to chew through with Drukari. Because you got to think about it. Even if they get first turn and they move 22 inches up because they use the auto advance strat, and then they use Fire and Fade to guarantee getting range at least their double rack, right? That's 46 flamers. They're like, oh, that's crazy. It's 46 flamer plus one, which is now dead. But even then, that was like the scariest shooting things you had to worry about. 2 racks, so it's 2d6 flamers, average 7 hits, or 7 shots.
Yep.
It's going to be either 3 or 4 wounds. We'll just say 4 for the high average. I'm going to make 2 of them my 4 up because of Azzy. And then hopefully on 4 dice, I'm going to make 1 Feel No Pain, which mathematically you make averagely, just slightly into over 50%. So my one, they don't even kill a bike with that move until they double fire in the same squad. And if they do fire in double same squad, they're going to kill 1 bike and take the other bike down to 2 wounds. And that's if I don't have the reroll stratagem, right, to try to pop another 4 up. So they do all that stuff. I'm going to just heal the bike that's wounded and then revive one. It mathematically, it doesn't look as durable as it is, but it's extremely durable. That's why a lot of times I'm not afraid to put my bikes in the open, as long as I keep them within the Apothecary and Azzy. Because I want to make sure I always have the movement, and they can't hide from me.
Okay, I guess so. The fact that they're being T5 means that the liquefier guns, which aren't really even a problem anymore now that you can't use tech mats on them, liquefier guns, even with a +1 wound, will only wound them on 4s. So, yeah. I guess, yeah, my problems with the Drukari is getting assaulted by huge blobs of witches that throw 40 dice at you.
Without the flamer build, it's almost an auto win for this list against Drukari.
Okay.
Interesting.
You keep them at range, you nickel dime them, the thing is, if you go first, as long as you keep them at range, they can never charge you. You keep it always at 24 inches. Go ahead. I see you have a little.
So what secondaries do you take against the Drukari then? Because I'm concerned about not being able to score primaries against them if I'm holding them at distance.
Well, this list is built around death, 100%.
So death on the wind.
100% death on the wind. I've never not maxed it by turn 2.
Okay.
Nice.
Okay.
The new FAQ is going to hurt a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's still very, 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 very easy to build around. Very easy to use. It's just a little bit of a different strategy involved now. Engages really well for my army. Banners is surprisingly very good for my army as well because of my characters and Terminators. People don't understand how those 3 2-man Terminators just go sit on objectives. Like, by the way, not only am I protecting my characters as a bodyguard, but now I'm holding the damn banner here.
Yeah.
It comes out of missions. There's a few mission secondaries I really like a lot. It comes against the army. There's a few horde armies where sometimes, because I'm such a killy army, I'll even go thin on against armies. But Death on the Wind is the only one that's almost always guaranteed to be taken. I've never not taken it since I started building this list. And it's... When the opponent looks at your face, like, yeah, I get 2 points every time I kill a unit when I moved at least 12 inches, or if I just complete a charge. And they're like, what? I'm like, yeah, here's the book, read it. And they're like, this is crazy. This is not progressive. I'm like, no, this is what my list is built around.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try to score at minimum 2 points a turn with engage. I'm gonna mass death. And the third one, depending on the army, matchup, and terrain, it's usually pretty easy too as well. Because this list is very surprisingly durable and fast, and it does very well against elite armies.
Okay, interesting. So I personally have a hard time scoring engage because I usually do mix Ravenwing and Greenwing, and I end up not having getting bottled up. But with that much lean into Ravenwing, and with the fact that you got the land speeder vengeances that you said earlier, you could just spend 1 CP and they can double move.
Yeah.
And so you can just jump right over stuff. Okay, interesting. How does the new change to the secondary missions in the GT 2021 book affect your decisions here?
Well, this is probably gonna break your guys' heart. Up until about 2 days ago, ACO was planned to be my last outing as a Dark Angel army player, because I dropped about $2,000 on new AdMech. But then I just got absolutely murdered. There's like 4 posts on Reddit about my army, and people asking about my strategy and stuff. I made a lot of friends through Reddit because of it. And then all my friends on Discord that likes me playing Dark Angels, apparently somehow I've become the Dark Angel guy to a lot of the tournament players, So the fact that I was talking about giving them up, like, upset people. So now I'm looking at it like, okay, cool. At the very least, I have committed to these guys to playing Dark Angels, the next GT I'm going to, which is Victorian Throwdown.
Okay.
It's hard though. Like, my list was so lean already and so efficient.
Yeah.
Removing one piece makes it throws it completely off.
Yeah, and I'd imagine the point changes aren't really something you're happy about either.
No. My list went up like 130
Yeah.
points.
You got to drop one of the land speeders, I guess. But
See, that's the thing. Everyone says that. Everyone says drop land speeder. I'd rather drop the bike squad and keep a speeder, because those speeders, like, when used properly. And that's the thing about my list. Like, I talked to John Lennon and a few other people, and they're like, dude, I don't think your list is that good. How are you winning with it? Well, my list is not an autopilot list. It's not a hammer list where you can just grab it and just play with it. It's every bit a scalpel. Like, you have to know how to pilot. You have to know how to take people. Like, we look at like objective secured mass armies. How do I take these objectives? How do I remove things? How do I strategically do this? Target priority is very important. Movement's very important. Those speeders, they're so important. Like, I'd rather have a third one. Like, one of the things talking about cutting points on, I was thinking about removing an attack bike squad for a third speeder, because that saves me a lot of points right there.
those bike squads, I think they're almost 180 points now. So
they're 180
yeah.
points now.
Okay.
So that saves me 60 points, and that basically makes up. If I did that, and this is what I was kind of thinking, if I dropped attack bike squad for a third vengeance, that makes up the 2 attack bikes, which is 30 points, and both Talon Masters, which is 15 points each, right there alone. And then I just don't take Chief Apothecary, and my list is almost intact. I just don't know how I feel about it. So there's about 3 different lists I'm throwing right now if I want to do with it. I have committed to all my friends and stuff that I'll play Dark Angels at least one more time. There's no army out there that scares my Dark Angels still, especially with Drukari getting a little bit nerfed, except new AdMech. New AdMech is absolutely terrifying to my Dark Angel list.
That is one of the things I was going to ask you about. There's an AdMech player out here in Hawaii who's just got some absolute filth in the works, and some of the top tier guys in our team are just like, I don't know what to do about this. Like those stupid dogs and like the jump pad guys that can just like leave the board, come back. You can never interact with them unless it's on your opponent's turn. Yeah, it's tough.
That's getting FAQ'd.
So it's got to be. It has to be. I don't see how it would be. But
I played with a lot of playtesters. That's not gonna be around long. Just FYI. The thing that doesn't scare me is not even the dogs. Dogs are easy to deal with from my list. It's the mass chicken list. You know, the chicken walkers.
Yeah.
That's a brutal firepower combo. You're gonna run so. I see a lot of people, including like Mark Hurdle, who's like the known to be the top AdMech player right now. And he's talking about full Lucius. That's not the way to go. Like, you're gonna go Lucius detachment with a Mars attachment, because a few units bringing on Marshall with the reroll 1s to hit and wound and Mars with those chicken walkers is absolutely devastating. There's nothing in the game that has anything close to their firepower, and it's all at range. And their fast-moving platform. It's scary. The fact that you can just Wrath of Mars, you can take one with auto cannons, Wrath of Mars if you want, or Wrath of Mars something else, and then you have 2 squads of the last kind of ones. Like, it will literally, every failed save is a dead bike at that point. Like, he can literally take his chicken walkers, look at a squad, reroll everything basically against me. Every save I fail is just dead. Minimum 4 damage.
Yeah.
It's just brutal.
And it can output a lot of mortal wounds. Yeah, it's... We'll see.
The thing is, though, if I go first against it, I win. It's a matchup I don't like. It's whoever goes first. And I like going second, which people get weirded out by. Like, I love going second with this list.
Yeah.
That's like a matchup where I have to go first. I have the speed that where he can't hide Jigsaw because there's such a big base, and there's no one in real events run like such large terrain you can have literally hide a full squad of chicken walkers, and I will literally pick them up like he will pick my army up. It's just who goes first in that matchup.
Yeah.
And it's not. I don't like having a build like that where you have to not go first or lose. It's bad for top GTs and competitive play.
I was a competitive Dark Eldar player for most of 8th edition. That was my competitive army, and absolutely learned the power of being able to go second. Like, you've got such perfect information. You know what you have to score to beat all the end of battle round secondaries. Yeah. I would
and
with this kind of list, I would definitely prefer to go second, but
I love going second. There's not an army I've played against that I have got to go second. And I'm like, oh, okay, I'm gonna just lose this game. Like every time I go second, like I have a very, very strong feeling I'm gonna win the game because it just you control the end of game scoring and a turn scoring. I have so much firepower, and the thing is, my army doesn't have a huge footprint. So there's some armies where I can still hide a lot of my stuff and be okay. It just I love going second on the list. I'm looking at your guys' thing here, though. So looking at FAQs, the movement shenanigans they fixed, where you can no longer just vibrate in place and just
and get death on the wind. Yeah.
Yes. So I have to actually move 12 inches, which doesn't matter because I can almost always have the room to do it. The only thing that makes it bad, and this is what no one's talking about, from the way they wrote it, it's from start point to end point. So if you have to go through a piece of terrain like around it, you don't get it then. Even though you technically move 12 inches, like you measure out, well, you measure from the start point to the end point. If it ain't 12 inches, you're kind of boned.
What's your target priority with this new AdMech? I said I am concerned. I don't know what exactly to do about him.
Hypothetically, if I'm running the same list I'm running right now, it's going to be obviously chicken walkers. They're, like we were saying a little bit ago, their firepower is just absolutely brutal. Fast moving platform, good bliss skill with the buffs, good rerolls. They're still core. Just absolutely brutal efficiency. Going from there, you're gonna have to go after the flyers because some of the movement shenanigans you can do with flyers are try to move block. But it's if you can go first against it with this list and you take the chicken walkers, it's not that bad of a matchup. Because you're gonna think they're gonna be hitting you on 2s or 3s with all their rangers. They're gonna wound you on 5s. You're gonna have some decent saves against them. 1 damage each. Just try to weather it. Create fire lanes. That way, if you're moving a 20-man block, it's pretty easy to put yourself using terrain to using their maximum movement. They're still not gonna be able to get all of the block to be able to have line of sight on you, right? But it really comes down to what's in their list, what's the terrain, what's the mission, what's the deployment. The biggest thing though is the flyers and the chicken walkers. The mass blobs, they're good, they're strong. I've played a lot of games with them. I've already been practicing AdMech lately. But they're kind of a waste to try to deal with them right off the rip, especially if you're running like the mixed Lucius Mars build, because their guys are going to have +1 armor against AP1.
Yeah.
They can make them transhuman if they have to go first, or subsequent first turns. If they have the Holy Order, they can make them ignore AP1 and 2. So you go first. Honestly, I think you're going to take Talon Masters and try to dwindle down 2 of the 3 blocks. That's what a lot of builds are running is 3 blocks, and try to get them around that halfway mark. It makes it much more manageable, but you really got to go after the chicken walkers. And if they're running jazz hands would be really popular.
Sorry, jazz hands? I don't know if I've heard that colloquialism.
That is the shooty priest. The
okay.
Priest. Yeah. Everyone calls
jazz
it jazz
hands.
3 shots. Yeah. Those guys are pretty good. I think the priest with staves are pretty much dead in this meta. Because it took away the 2-up invulnerability you can do with them. Their transport got really good. More shots, less points, which is...
Does it still have an out of line of sight fire mode?
That's the disintegrators. Those became strength 5 instead of strength 6. And I think they went up points. So you won't see those mass much anymore. You'll see some people still run the build, but they're just not as efficient as other options. Petraxis sterilizers are really, really good. Multiple flaming units coming down. For a little while, you have the pay 1 CP, get them on the same turn out, and still do like actions and stuff. But everyone knows it's getting FAQ'd, and a lot of events are already pre-FAQ'd, and you can't go into Detroit to turn you come in for reserves. Because technically there's a precedent set in the BRB with flyers with that. It just doesn't apply to anything tech but flyers.
Yeah.
But those are the target priorities for AdMech. Really, the only thing that scares the shit out of me is going to be the chicken walkers. Their shooting efficiency and how fast they can move, and the fact you can take one squad and still advance and fire them. It's really
okay.
good. Really good. So try to put your bikes in a way where if you get first one, you get first round shooting on them, and don't forget you have your one pre-game movement. If not, buckle down, make them come out, and then take them out.
All right, sounds good. I just want to go back to your list real quick for a second. So the powers you have on Ezekiel, you had Mind Worm, Engulfing Fear, and Mind Wipe. Engulfing Fear obviously is the one that takes out OBSEC. Mind Wipe is the one that takes away an aura, and Mind Worm is one that makes people fight last. What's the use case you have for those? How'd you find yourself using those powers?
Well, with Mind Worm, it's really good because it's like it can be used two ways, really. And this is kind of funny thing about it. Sometimes I've used it if I just want that one mortal wound to go combo with like psychic
Psychic Scourge or no Smite.
No.
Yeah.
Smite. I couldn't think of the word smite for some reason. Sometimes I've done it for that. What it's there for is if I play against somebody who has like a Vanguard brick or Terminator brick that's getting too close, being able to look at like, okay, you fight last. So when you charge one of my Raven Wing, I'm just running away because I'm going to activate before you, and I pay 2 CP and just run away. It's a combo that works very well. And you know, the one thing is like, okay, he's close to me. I don't want him getting into my lines. It's kind of funny and comical when you're like, I'm just going to run away from you and get better position because I'm getting my 14-inch movement. I just got to make sure you move block against that unit in a way that when they do charge, you can only charge one unit.
Yeah.
So
Right.
that's what that's there for. Engulfing Fear is one of the very good tools in my list. So people look at my list like, oh, he doesn't have any OPSEC. And a meta where everyone spams OPSEC. You know, double OPSEC, this OPSEC, that. Being able to look at something like, okay, you don't have OPSEC. It just cracks people up. And then you just run your little attack bike squad up there.
Hi, I'm OPSEC.
Bike squad, like, I'm OPSEC. Hey, this is my objective now. When you're playing missions that have 5 or 6 objectives, it's pretty easy to control at least 2 of them. And then using Engulfing Fear to control the third one and take it from them has been key. And then even with Rights of War on one of my Talon Masters does the same thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
I've had a lot of games where I went against, not this event, but I played against another Dark Angel player, and they were running Stubborn Defiance. And I literally told the guys, like, don't run that. Don't run that.
Yo,
I mean,
don't do that. I could just
Yeah.
take away OBSEC and deny you, and just reset the points. It's
So he didn't get that. And see, I'm a not gotcha. You can ask any one of my opponents. I'm the type of person, you tell me your intent. You want this guy in cover where I can't see you, and then it's my turn and I move. Like, oh, actually, I can still see the guy because you didn't move right. Well, move your guy over a tiny bit because that's what your intent was, and I agreed to it. Or I had a guy who I played and he didn't. I had some Deathwing characters on my list at one point, and I was like, hey man, I got an auto deny. So I had to keep telling him that for he would not get caught on that. And or when I had some guy at ACO, actually, he's like, if you can, let me know when I get within your 24 inches of Ezekiel, for you can't try to deny me. I'm like, all right, cool. So every time he moved this guy, I'm like, hey man, you're within 24. I'm not gonna guide you, that type of stuff. But so I literally told that guy, don't run Stubborn Defiance. You're not gonna score more than 5 points against me. And he took it anyway. So what I did, middle of the game, I waited to turn 3. I hit that big Terminator brick with Engulfing Fear, and then you just watched my one. I put my my Talon Master Red Sword back in Devastator Doctrine and just launched him across the board like 27 inches and landed just touching the objective. Like, you don't have OPSEC anymore. I'm OPSEC. This is my objective. He's like,
dang.
are you gonna sacrifice your Talon Master? Absolutely, because I just took 10 points from secondaries
Yep.
to do that way.
Yep. It's like it doesn't matter if you didn't get his points back. You can develop the play in another way, right? I will absolutely trade points for other resources, like victory points. So
100%. And so people look at the game like, you know, and this is another thing, like when people talk about vengeances, they're like, well, they never make their points back. I'm like, we can't look at it that way anymore. That's a complete 5th edition mentality. Points don't mean anything. Everything's about board control. Did they influence the game in any way, shape, or form to give me some kind of board control for the generation of the game? And they always do. Whether that people will deploy differently because they're afraid of that one time I can make it damage for each turn, or they were able to move up and people didn't expect them to, or I've even move blocked with them.
they're a big hull. They're a big hull.
You know, they're a fat
yeah.
Huge model.
You know, it's crazy when you think about, like, I can move my guy up there and even double move him if I have to, and just block you. I'm like, all right, walk around my vengeance. I don't care if you kill at this point. I need to block you from getting to this specific part of the board. I've used them to block people from getting engaged because they can't fully get around it and get wholly within the deployment zone. I've used them to block charges. I've sacrificed them to maximize engage before. They're just a great unit. It's got so many uses. It's so undervalued in my opinion. And people play them like, well, they're not efficient enough. They don't kill enough every game. Sometimes they do great. Some games they completely underperform. Well, that's just because for the points, you're only looking at what points do they get back in shooting, and that's not the way you should look at them. They're like, everything that unit can do for 120 points is amazing.
Yeah.
Now, my question is, did you enjoy painting yours?
Oh, no, I'm a horrible painter.
Oh. I had a great time painting mine. That was something I was kind of surprised because I don't like painting big models, but when I finally figured out how to do like a stained glass effect with Stormhost Silver and washes and put stained glass over that one cockpit on the front of it, I had a blast painting it.
Yeah, I'm the type of typical person that plays GTs. I just pay people to paint my stuff.
Okay.
In fact, I had like this group of guys come up to me, and I was playing at top table, final 4 at ACO, and they come over and talk to me and or ask questions about Dark Angel. Apparently, they want to talk to me all weekend. And then they saw my army and they're like, "What the hell?" Half my army was Black Templar models. That's my first love, is Black Templars. That's my favorite faction. I own 30,000 points of them. My Dark Angel army was actually sent and finished as a full commission. But then the FAQ came out, and I was like, I was so heartbroken from the FAQ that I didn't want to drive the 3 hours north to pick my army up. So I was like, I'll just pack some Dark. I got some of the models. I'll just pack my Black Templars to cover it. And people are like, how is the guy that's known for playing Dark Angel now not even running Dark Angel models at the biggest event of the year? And I was like, listen, man, the FAQ broke my heart.
I can feel that.
I don't know why, but apparently,
feel it. Yep.
Apparently my list needed to be nerfed. It's like the one Marine army that's standing up against the meta right now, and it just needed to be nerfed because it's.
You know, I think they're definitely on a lag. Like they're looking at what things were doing, 3-4 months ago.
7 months ago.
No, yeah, and that's what's getting. Yeah, so that was the hotness 7 months ago.
I get
so.
that. Well, that was my sarcasm when I said that way. But I clearly everything that nerfed was from forever ago. But everything else is just behind. Like there's so many things that needs to be nerfed now to rebalance the game because of the nerfs they did do. Like it was a hurtful nerf in my opinion. But yeah, so that's how that works. And then Mind Whip, honestly, he gets 3 powers. I rarely use that one. I think I used it out of like the 20 something games at events with this list, maybe 3 times, and ironically, it's always against Custodes. So it's like, oh, by the way, your shield captain is not giving you rerolls right now. So, but I honestly, in this list, if I played in future, I think the Marshal is really huge for AdMech right now. So you'd see that used a lot in that matchup. But most time, I either need the smite, I need to shut down this melee brick that's coming into my lines that I can't take the hit because I'm very durable against shooting, not very durable against
that.
Good
yeah.
melee armies.
I played against Sisters last week and got hit by a brick of Zephyr for the first time, and that did some damage. Yeah.
So or I'm taking away OBSEC. So Mind Wipe's just kind of like that one bar. Kind of got an extra power. Could be cool if I ever need it, but it's rarely used.
All right. Do you have any concerns about Toughness 5 orcs? No? Okay. Bailey and I had this conversation on the phone the other night. He's like, I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal, at least for Dark Angels. Is the, Talon Masters don't really care that much if you're T5 or T4. So.
Yeah.
All the orc players I know don't care. They're like, it doesn't change anything. They're not excited about it at all.
The T5 actually going to hurt them because the points for models then go up.
Yeah.
That's going to hurt. I don't think it doesn't do enough to. If they want to make orcs a little bit more durable, give them 2.
That would be scary. Yep. That would be real scary. T4 2 yeah.
Toughest. Yeah, that's what they should have done in my opinion. Toughest 5 though, like it hurts some lists. But the problem is, like, so much of the top tier codexes out there right now that you see in tournaments are running strength 6.
Yeah.
It's like the magic number right now, and strength 7. T5 does nothing, or they're running T5, so you're still wounding on 4s. So you take 17% less of wounding. I get that. That's kind of a big deal when you're massing it. But honestly, like things like AdMech, like okay, cool. Like my rifles wound you on 5s instead of 4s.
It's a good thing I brought 100 of them. Yeah.
Except I'm gonna get like I'm getting like 80 shots from this one squad. Cool. And then my Vanguard don't care because they just wound you on 4s anyways.
Yeah.
So it just, I don't know. I don't see a lot of things from orcs coming in. I think new sisters are very undervalued right now. I think they're better than AdMech personally. If like 3 of my practice partners weren't switching to sisters, I'd also be running sisters. I think they're a really, really good spot. There's so many things in that army that people ain't talking about that it's going to blow the metal.
So
when people start
let me hit you with this. So I played against the new Sisters Codex last week. My buddy Vince is one of our local guys. Real sharp Sisters player. Been playing him for several years. And it was a knockdown smash out. Like I won by 5 points because I flipped the key objective with a 12-inch charge from Inceptors. And we're going to talk about that tomorrow. We're going to have him on the show and record. So, what do you think the undervalued stuff in the Sisters Codex is? So I can ask him about it.
A lot of people are talking about running MSU still. That's completely the wrong
20-man.
way.
20-man Brick of Sisters with Transhuman.
I don't want to.
Yeah, it's awful. Yeah. Saw it.
Yeah, there's a couple things. Well, there's one of the orders out there that no one's talking about right now, and one of my buddies is about to unveil it soon at a GT, and I don't want to steal his thunder.
No,
I
yeah,
want him to
no,
kinda
no,
get
yeah.
known for. It's like something that I kind of helped him come up with. It's gonna be so nasty. But we'll talk about a few things I hear talking about. First off, everyone knows Val is absolutely amazing for her points, right? Absolutely amazing for her points. Shield Sisters, really, really good. The combo with Dominion squads, where you can put like a Dominion and a Rhino,
absolutely,
sisters, and game move all of them up. Fantastic. The battle nuns, what do they call them? Nundums?
The Nundums.
I've heard them call them the Nundums. They're okay. No one's gonna play where they're just -1 damage. Period. That's just bad wording, and people try to argue it. They're just dumb. They're not bad for the points. They're pretty good. But here's something I hear no one talking about. You're gonna see a lot of top lists. In my opinion, one exorcist now, being able to hide it behind a piece of terrain and just fire 3d3 shots at like strength 8 AP good d6 damage at ignore line of sight. That's huge.
Oh, they got that
so many
rollback?
things.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Because I knew they lost it.
It's a stratagem.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
That's why I said you're gonna see one. It's a stratagem when you do it. Like having something with that kind of firepower, being able to shoot out of sight is huge, right? Getting advance and charge built into the not the mortifiers, but the
Pendant engines.
The repellent engines. That's there's a couple of really cool builds I've seen with those. I mean, just the thing about that book, just like AdMech before it, just like Drukari before it, it's a code, and Dark Angels before that. You can literally just open the book, take a dart, and just throw it. And whatever it sticks at, it's just good. There's builds around it. But there's so many really efficient builds in the Sisters. Like an AdMech, there's a couple of really good efficient builds, right? You're gonna see and top tables the same 3 builds though. There's 3 builds I've seen so far that I think are fantastic. With Sisters, I got like 7 friends who I respect on the tables that are all running a different list, and they're all great. It's a book that you won't until eventually they'll probably find like the most efficient bit list, and then everyone will copy that. But for now, in the short term, you can't really plan against it. I've seen Shield Sister builds. I've seen full brick builds. I've seen Repentia spams. I've seen Penitent spams. Like, there's so many good things, and there's ways of getting automatic 6s. Yeah, there's less Miracle Dice now. We have ways of just flipping automatic 6s for Miracle Dice, which is just...
Yeah, it was like he can bring in and say, hey, I'm going to bring in 2 units, and you can intercept one of them, and the other one, hey, I've got a 6, so I'm just going to, these Repentia are just going to make that 11-inch charge. Screw you. Yeah, it's...
Or let's talk about Celestine. She can just heal herself now. She just stands up, or even if you don't kill her, she's like, by the way, as an action, I'm going to heal myself, and guess what? I can still charge, because it ends at the end of your shooting phase, or the movement phase, I think. I think it's at the end of your shooting phase, which means it's over, you healed, and then you just charge. And she
can heal.
combat.
She can bring her little the Gemini Satori or members of her squad now. So you have to kill them before you can get to her. Oh yeah, no, I saw that. That was tough. It's
having a lieutenant in the army is really good. I mean that I think I think sisters are gonna literally be top of meta again, in my opinion. I think they beat AdMech because they have ways of dealing with you're like, oh, you have Rangers or Vanguard bricks. That's cool. I'm gonna just chew through that still because sisters and GW loves us. I love the book. I don't think it's broken though. The one thing I do like about the book is I feel like things that were heavily abused has been removed from the game, but they're still super super strong. So they're gonna work in ways that people can't be upset about, in my opinion. But like getting like 27-inch guaranteed charges out of rhinos was kind of gross with Repentia. Now it's like 15 inches. It's kind of, or no, it'd be more than that. Be 3, 9, 21 inches.
That's a little bit less, but it's still what? Like, come on. It's yeah. All right, hey, let me hit you with probably one or two last things. So back to Atlantic City. Seeing as you tuned this list for Drukari, what did you think your most difficult matchup was going to be? Okay, was it a codex or was it a person?
I'd say a person. I don't want to say names because I don't want some people to feel left out. There's 3 players that I knew I could have trouble with, and one of them I was right. Brad Chester knocked me out of the final 8. So this is a fun thing with people who did watch our final match in day 2. Neither of us were really super hard into it. It was very autopilot. I think at one point we've walked away from table 3 different times to get more drinks, because we were both guaranteed to get into the final 8 no matter what. As long as we scored over like 40 points, which I've never not scored over 40 points ever. So it was very nonchalant. It was he deployed in a very good way in the final 8, and I went hard at it and didn't understand his deployment because I just assumed and didn't get that gentleman agreement like I normally do, and he capitalized on it and pretty much won turn 1. So he was good. I think the toughest game I played, period, though, out of the entire weekend would have been against Sean Naden. Obviously, his guy's ranked number 1 ITC, running Drukari / Eldar. I think that builds a lot stronger than just pure Drukari, even with the Flamer spam available. Our game was like super, super tight. I think it was like a 72-70 win for me. Obviously, he's one of the, if not best players in the country for 40K. The guy's super tight on his movement. As sad as it is, because I play in a lot of events and I'm usually towards the top tables, I'm not very experienced with time clocks. So a lot of people don't play with those. So having to learn to control that and play, like I almost lost the game because of my time management. Luckily for me, Sean's a good sport, and he helped control the clock even when he shouldn't have to, because it's my job to turn it into my time, and he would just do it for me. If he wasn't that good of a sport, I would have timed out 100% because I just don't like time clocks. It's one thing I took from that. I was like, okay, you need to start practicing more and actually learning to control that, because there's going to be other people who wants to play with those, right? So it's on you if you know that's a thing in the hobby and you're not prepared for it. But his strategy is really clean. His movement is very crisp and very precise. Target priority is top notch. And unlike other players, he will look at the game and always play the mission. So I had a really good first turn against him. I think I moved in a way and surprised him because he didn't understand the speed of Ravenwing. And I had completely collapsed like one of his flanks. And he was like, most people would probably just give up and not try to come back. And he literally sat there for like 5-10 minutes. And he's like, hey, it's on my time. Don't take it wrong. I'm just trying to figure it out. And then pulled movements out that I didn't even see.
I would expect one of my flanks. I would expect nothing less from Eldar Jesus. Nothing less. Yeah, dude's he's my hero.
Absolutely. It was dude, and the funny thing is, the first time I ever got to play against Nathan, so I was super pumped about it. I respect the guy because he doesn't switch his army. He stuck with it when it's good or bad. And he just has a very good reputation. amongst the top tier, and we always seem to like dodge each other. Not
Yeah.
It's more like I don't get to play him because he doesn't know me that much. I quit the hobby for like 5 years. I just got back in the hobby again like a year ago. So just now starting to make a name for myself again. But it was fun to finally get to play him, and both of us made a lot of mistakes in our game. That's why our score was low, and I expected him to do different things. He expected me to do different things. We were constantly flipping the table back to each other's control, and just trying to win at that point. So that was a tough match. Other than that, until Mech, there's no builds out there that scares my list. Like, if they're an assault army, I have the speed to keep them at arm's reach and not give them the charges. If they're a shooting army, people grossly underestimate the durability of this against shooting. Like, having a 4++ with a 6+++, on a 4 wound, toughness 5 base model is surprisingly hard to get.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not to mention, you look at attack bikes, and they look big, but they're really, really, especially if you're running the official models, when you could just kind of like, they're like these L shapes, and if you're good at Tetris, you start folding them into places together, and like it's so easy to hide them because they're low profile with good terrain. So, luckily for me, I didn't have to play on any of the bottom half tables at ACO, which the terrain was absolutely atrocious for line of sight blocking. I was on all the like table 20 or higher, which had good terrain. So the armies where I do have to hide, I can. Most time though, it's people are surprised when I just start putting my bricks out there in the middle open, and they're like, well, "I'm gonna get to shoot them if I go first." Yeah, but if I go first, you can't hide from me.
Yeah.
And if you go second, if I go second, you're gonna be surprised how durable these guys are.
That's confidence.
So,
Well, the one thing yeah, and speaking of confidence, the one thing I would say with the chess clock, and I probably couldn't do it now, but in 8th edition when I was playing 2 or 3 times, 4 times a week, started practicing the chess clocks, and there's a nice confidence in once you've played with it enough to know that you can get a game in under 3 hours, like on the dot. And that was something like with my game store where they started changing hours. People are like, "Oh, I don't know if we can get a game in." I'm like, "No, I can do it. Like, you sit down, we'll get the clock out, put as much time on the clock as there is left for this before the store closes, and we'll get the game in. Just watch us do it." And and again, I got to a point where I didn't even need it. It's like, we're just going to get the game in 3 hours. Watch us go.
Cool.
And
not including my my final 8 matches, because we take things a lot slower there because you're in final 8. Besides for my Shaw Naden game, no game lasted over an hour for me.
Oh, wow.
So, and that's one thing like Brad always laughs because he calls me a speed player. And Naden's game only lasted that long because we had a chess clock. I honestly think if we didn't have the chess clock, it would went quicker. But because we're both watching the clock and trying to use our time, and I'm looking at it and stuff, yeah, like no game besides Naden's and the first 6 games lasted over an hour for me. Actually, I lied. Mine and Brad's final game lasted like an hour and a half. But that was like 45 minutes of us walking back and forth to the bar and getting drinks. In fact, the head judge was watching our game, and he told us, like, so this is the top table at ACO in the final round before final 8s. And it's the most autopilot, very chill game I've ever seen for a tournament play. You guys are just friendly with each other. If he moves something, he's like, "Oh yeah, you said you moved it where I couldn't block it," and I'd move it back, or he'd move it back, or we were just friendly that way. But I also play Brad a lot, so I know his movements, he knows my movements.
Sounds like a very civilized way to do business. This way it should be.
That sounds like the way you want to play the game.
Well, that's the cool thing about, like, I quit for about 6 or 7 years when I was gone for 5 years. Before I quit, one reason why I quit was during 7th edition. The game was a very gotcha type of state of meta. Like, people got to gotcha plays, or they were arguing about movements and line of sight and stuff. And I was like, this doesn't seem fun at all. I come back, and I met with some good friends, and I tried doing it in my little local meta, but then there's also people doing their local meta, and we're trying to push it to a bigger scale now. Like, this whole play by intent, play like a gentleman / gentlewoman, for those that are listening that might not be a man. It's like a great for the hobby. I love it. Being able to say, "Hey man, I'm pretty sure if I move right here, I can see you. Do you agree? Cool." And then if you don't move exactly precise, like, well, we both agreed you had to move it. You did it. Just take it. And that's the reason why games last long, because people try to get those got you in inches or millimeters. Like, "Oh yeah, we both agreed you could get it, but you actually needed to move your exact 12 inches. Looks like you only moved 11.8 inches here," or something silly like that.
Yeah.
when you have that mentality, now is the game more fun. Whoever loses, like when I lost against Brad in the final 8, there was no sour notes there. I wasn't upset. I walked up and gave my friend a hug. Like, congratulations, man, you beat me. Now take it. You're about to be in the finals. Take it all the way. I was happy for him, because I didn't feel cheated in any way, shape, or form. And the game goes a lot quicker because you know what each person's trying to do, and I'll move his models for him too when he's on my side of the board. He's like, okay, you want these 5 guys to see the line sight here in range? Gotcha, cool. Here you go. Like, try to be friendly with each other and have fun, and it's very healthy, especially in, like, a lot of the top players doing it now. So you see it in a lot of top teams.
Yeah, it's the right example to set for the community. It absolutely is.
Yeah, I think I had one guy, and I was like my second game I played. He's playing Chaos, and he actually was reading all the posts about me in Reddit and talked to a guy named Justin Curtis who knows me and stuff like that. And he's like, yeah, I'm really nervous because you're like, you've been winning a lot of GTs lately and you're playing Dark Age. I don't know about it. Like, all right, don't worry about that, dude. I'm here to have fun. Like, ask me the questions you want to know, and I'll help you in the middle of the game. So I was literally giving advice in the middle of the game, and it was really cool. He wrote a whole article about me in their Chaos Discord about me, and Justin Curtis, who's actually at the event, walked over and showed it to me. He's like, dude, check out this article about you. So, like, that's what I think how the game should be played, and I don't know. I have a lot of fun with it. I'm here to move toy soldiers and move across the battlefield, and my number one goal in the games is not to win. My number one goal is that no matter what happens in this game, that
there you go.
If you beat me, I'm gonna walk over and give you a high five or hug if you're one of my friends, and cheer you on and be your biggest, cheerleader on the sidelines, hoping that you win the entire event. You know what I mean? So.
I mean, hey, I think that sounds. I think that sounds like we might be a good place to call it. Bailey, you got anything you want to add?
No, I was just going to say, as an educator by profession till recently, and just sort of a TO, that idea of helping people, even when you're getting ready to make that big mistake, be like, hey, I know you're getting ready to do this, but this would help if you did. You could do it this way, and it would do this, this, and this. And people go, oh, wow, thanks. I hadn't thought of that. Because sometimes, like, people just legitimately, they're so tunnel-brained, especially if they're playing someone they think, oh, I got to play really well, and I really got to beat this guy because he's really cool and famous or something like that. And you're just, like, you help them break out of the little box they put themselves in. That really helps. That does a lot for the community. And like you said, it doesn't matter if you win or lose. You've helped.
Yeah, that guy that I talked to you about, he came to me in my 4th game because he played an army just like mine. And I told him how he should have played it and gave him some tips and stuff. And he played that way and actually won his game. He was super excited.
Nice.
But just give an example of things you should do, in my opinion, in this game. Someone's going to charge me with Magnus, not this event, but last event, and was going to move him within 3 inches of my apothecary. And I was like, don't do that. Like, what do you mean? It's like, well, you're charging into Azzy and some Terminators, and you're going to be within 3 inches of this dude. You're not going to have a 3-up invuln. You're going to have a 5-up invuln. Because this guy has a 3-inch aura where you only have a 5-up invuln. And he's like, oh, wow. And, like, he literally just shifts this guy over. But I could have been that player. I'm like, all right, dude. Like, you're within range, and now I'm going to, pile into you for you can't get out of his range, and now you don't have a 5-up invuln. But no, I mean, 3-up invuln, like, I don't think the game should be played that way. And I see, unfortunately, a long time ago, it used to be played that way. So, but anyways, I know you guys are trying to get this podcast over, so I'm gonna stop.
No, man, we all need to elevate each other. That's all it is.
Yeah, 100%. I had a lot of fun with you guys, and hopefully I could pull out another victory for at least on XGT. Except probably will be my last Archangel one. Sorry, I'm guys coughing now, but yeah. If you guys have any more questions or,
all right, man. Yeah, have a good one.
Thank you very much, Thomas. Later, right? Keep the Dark Angels train rolling. So, thank you all for listening to this special episode with Thomas Ogden talking about his Atlantic City Open list that he got 3rd place at this huge event. I think there was like 250 plus people at. And thank you for listening to this episode of the Warhammer 40,000 Dark Angels podcast, The Path to Redemption. Heath and I will be back at it here again soon with our regular scheduled June episode. Until then, please like, subscribe, comment below if you're watching or listening on YouTube for the first time or on your preferred podcasting service. We'd also like to thank Purple Planet for the music that we're going to add in post-production and for letting us use their material. And until next time, I'm Bailey from Dankless Wargaming.
It's Heath with Table War Hawaii.
Stay loyal, Angels.